Hello, everyone. Thanks for getting on early. Since you are on early, and I know you might have stepped away, do whatever you need to do until we start at 1:30. However, I'm going to share my screen. I have a little activity for you to do while we wait to get started. All right, so here's your question here, and I know it's maybe small. I can't zoom in, unfortunately, but your question is, how many faces do you see in the painting? Feel free to type that in the chat if you have an answer. Oh, I see some numbers coming in. I will tell you it is less than 10. So Shelby, you're very close. And yeah, so I see a 3, I see 8, I see 9. I don't want to give away the answer yet. I've got it on the next slide, so I can't click. But these are great guesses. Very good for being on the screen. It's kind of easier if you have it on paper. And if you've done this before, you've seen this before, let me know too. And welcome everyone. If you're just joining us, I've got a little activity on the screen for you. How many faces do you see in this painting? We've got a few guesses in the chat already. Feel free to add your guess to it. I will give you the answer in the next slide, don't worry. So you don't have to hang on to your suspense for too much longer. And if you've seen this painting before, you've seen this exercise, let me know too. Oh, Laura, you found 2 more. Excellent. Way to look harder. MJ said 9. Here's another question for you that's not on the screen, but that right here, I don't know if you can see my mouse circling, but here, is that his hand or a dog? What did you think it was? And that's not part of the faces, but is it a hand or a dog? Yeah, I totally thought dog too when I saw it. But then if you look closer, you're like, oh, or maybe even like stand far away, you're like, that could be a hand. Yeah. Excellent. I'm going to give 1 more minute for people to log on and see this exercise, and then we'll get started. So if you haven't put in your guess yet for how many faces you see in this painting, please do so soon. Yeah, and then you can weigh in if you think it's a dog or a hand. Yeah, the dog could be kind of a face too. I will say I did not count the dog as a face, so. But I love it. We're being open to other possibilities here. All right, last chance. How many faces do you see in the painting? We had quite a range of answers. So we saw some said 3, some said 6, some said 8. We got a lot of 6s, 8s, and 9s in there. So really good skills. I hope you didn't get too cross-eyed, like looking closely at your computer screen. So here's the answer for you all. So I saw 9 in this exercise I've done before with others. I've seen 9. You can see here, 1 is the full face. We've got 2, 3, 4. There's a face right here. 6, 7, 8, and then there's actually a combined face, which is easier to see on an actual printout of it. Christine, I'm curious if you want to share in the chat where you saw the other face, but we were talking too before this that the dog could be a face. There's like half a face there. So you know what? There's no wrong answers here. It's whatever you saw. Oh, there's one above 6. Oh, right near the crow. Okay. I love it. Yeah. So Christine actually found a 10th one too by looking very hard. And so why did I do this exercise? 1, it kept us busy while it was kind of quiet, waiting for everyone to join. So that helped. 2, sometimes we have to maybe zoom in to see some things and maybe take a step back to reflect and learn. And Christine did a great job zooming in, finding something new that I haven't before and was willing to talk about it and share. And that's what we're here to do today is how can we improve our observational skills and our communication skills in our workplace to make changes for the better and allow people to feel more comfortable in speaking up. So thank you all for participating in that exercise. I hope you enjoyed that. And I did forget to mention that that painting is called The General's Family by Octavio Ocampo. So thank you all for doing that one. All right, so you are here for using applied improvisation to create a more psychologically safe environment in your workplace and actually beyond too. This can totally span outside of the workplace in your professional life too. My name is Dana Gowan. I have my master's of public health. I'm also a certified health education specialist. I am in my full-time role. I work for Keenan and Associates. I'm a senior health and wellness manager. I help companies with their employee wellness programs. So I'm very deep and well-versed into the employee wellness, corporate wellness space. And then outside of that, I'm also a speaker and an improviser. And I really use the tools of improv to share how we can improve our lives and improve our team building and our workplaces too. A little background here. I used to, 3 years ago, I started taking improv classes. And I got to tell you, I hesitate to use the term life changer because, I think we overuse that term sometimes. We say, oh, these tacos are life changing. The Starbucks coffee is life changing today. But I got to tell you, improv has been life-changing for me. It has given me a new set of tools and skills and techniques that I did not have beforehand. And I'll probably talk about this in a little bit, but I was very much a perfectionist. I still am. I'm working on not being so much of a perfectionist. And improv gave me some tools to get out of that perfectionist mindset and actually allow myself to learn by growing and taking chances and taking risks and failing, to be honest, failing. So I wanted to share with you all the power of improv. And today we'll talk about how it can help with psychological safety. So a few group agreements here, or housekeeping rules. I'm calling them group agreements. Please make sure, we're on webinar, so your audio is already muted. I was under the impression this would be a Zoom meeting, so I would be able to see you all, so it's all good. You all don't have to worry about number 1. Please use the chat to connect and engage. There's also a question and answer box. Number 4, if you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A box and I'll see them. I have it up here, so I'll definitely get to answer them when I can. Please be respectful to those who share questions and responses in the chat too. We are here for psychological safety, so we want to give respect to everyone. And then This actually won't happen because of my misunderstanding. However, I am still going to run some games with you all. You won't be able to see each other. However, I'd like to encourage you all to try them, even though we can't see each other, in our Zoom boxes. Still try to do them and see what comes up for you. And we can still connect by doing it virtually, even without having to see each other. And we can type in the chat what we felt. So, we adapt and we learn, and it's not a big deal that we can't see each other. We can still have some virtual connection today. So you all are here as health professionals. You all are probably, I'm going to guess, aware of the term psychological safety. I feel like it's a big buzzword in the health and wellness community. However, if you aren't able to define it or need a definition, this is a great one. These two are from Amy Edmondson, who is kind of the leader of psychological safety in the workplace. She has a TED Talk that I put in the appendix of this. It's really great, really helpful. And her definitions span from, it's a shared belief held by members of a team that the team is safe for interpersonal risk-taking. It can also be defined as a sense of confidence that the team will not embarrass, reject, or punish someone for speaking up. This confidence stems from mutual respect and trust amongst team members. So I want to hear from you all too, or I want you to just think for a second. Let's sit back and reflect. Have you been in a spot in a workplace before that has not felt like this? That has not allowed, you haven't felt comfortable speaking up? Maybe sharing your beliefs or sharing opinions. And then on the flip side, have you been in a workplace where you have felt comfortable speaking up? Yes, feel free to put in the chat. So yeah, question one, have you been in a place where you haven't felt comfortable? And then number two, have you been in a place where you have felt psychologically safe? Yeah, I see some yeses. Yes to both. Yeah, which, it sucks that we have to experience that reality of like not feeling safe. However, it gives us the chance to make things better when we are in a new place and we actually do feel that sense of psychological safety. So thank you all for thinking about that. And then this is a chance for us to discuss how we can make it better regardless of our leadership positions. Yeah. Emily put in the chat, had coworkers with extreme opinions, which made others afraid to voice theirs for fear of being canceled. So yeah, how can you allow for them to speak up, but also allow for the others to speak up too? So here's some ideas of what psychological safety is. It's a team climate where members feel comfortable being themselves. That's where like the DEI initiatives can come in as well. Employees feel free to brainstorm out loud. Have you ever had a a session that's kind of labeled as like, hey, we're going to brainstorm, let's work on innovating here. But as soon as an idea gets thrown out, someone's trying to stress test it. Someone's trying to be like, oh, that won't work because of this, or I don't think that could work. Let's try it this way. And so all the ideas get stress tested. And then you come out with like, well, I don't know, I don't have anything else. Or you say your idea, but it's kind of a half idea. You're like, I don't have the full solution yet, but what if we did this? And because it's not a full solution, someone might be like, well, what else, how else would that work? How would that work? And I think in a psychologically safe workplace, especially when you label it as like brainstorming and innovation, you've got to allow to brainstorm out loud. All ideas are welcome here. Throw them out there. We'll stress test them later. We'll say yes, but, or no, because later. But let's say yes and now, which is an improv term I'll talk about in a little bit. Yes and yes. So brainstorming out loud, voicing half-finished thoughts, asking bold questions and challenging the status quo. And I will say there's a right way to communicate that, certainly in a constructive way, leaving the emotions out of it, but asking those bold questions, sharing feedback constructively, working through disagreements together. And, in this place of psychological safety, employees know and understand that leaders will value their honesty, their candor, and their truth telling. And everyone has each other's backs too. So you're not left out on an island the minute you throw out a kind of an idea that's a little different from everyone else's. So with that in mind, what isn't psychological safety? Well, it's not us sitting around a campfire singing Kumbaya, although I love camping and doing that. We don't need to do that in the workplace. So it's not everyone being nice to each other all the time. We can still challenge the status quo in a constructive way. And it is not avoiding discomfort. It's not shying away from like, well, I'm not going to speak up because they got this. It's fine. They don't care about my opinion anyway. It's actually, really talking about and communicating these things. I think this psychological safety can sometimes get misunderstood and misconstrued as like a warm and fuzzy thing, like, oh, well, we love everyone's all the same kind of thing. And it's not that. It's not unearned autonomy. You still have to work for your accountability. You have to work for your responsibility and your autonomy that you have. And it's certainly not allowing any toxic behaviors. Certainly everyone on the team is welcome. However, if there's a toxic trait or behavior, it needs to be confronted, and in the proper way. There is a typo here. I'm sure you all saw it. And I thought about, I should change that. However, we are in a psychologically safe place. Mistakes will get made. And I understand you all work in high stakes work environments where it's crucial to not make mistakes. However, mistakes still get made in high stakes environments. So it is how we deal with the mistakes. And there's an exercise we'll kind of run here, but it's how we deal with mistakes that allows us to learn and grow. So I could have easily fixed this and moved on. However, I kind of, it is not static, which is what I meant to say, but also it could be like aesthetic or an attic. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities here. But the idea is that it is not a one-time fix. It is not static. It is not an aesthetic. All right, yes, I have above me, all ideas welcome here. However, if I gave you the sense that I didn't care about your ideas, if I totally ignored the chat, if I ignored the Q&A discussion period, I would not be practicing what I say. I would not be doing what I say. And so that's the idea. You have to say it, but you also have to do it. And it is not just for leadership to worry about either. We can all do these things regardless of our positions. I think we're all aware here, but if you feel good at work, if you feel safe, psychologically safe, and also physically safe, which is a whole nother thing, but if you feel safe at work, you're going to have much better outcomes, increased problem solving, higher engagement, inclusive practices. That's where the DEI initiatives come in, higher productivity, lower turnover, better collective well-being, better team building, better organization. I mean, there's just so much benefits to it. It's like, why don't we do it? And that's the thing, I don't think anyone would argue that this psychological safety thing is wrong. Like, we shouldn't look into this. We shouldn't do this. I think everyone would say, yes, I want this. We do this already. But that is where improvisation can come in, because it is easy to say how to be psychologically safe and what to do. But the fact is, how do you implement it? How do you get people to feel these things? How do you actually experience psychological safety? And applied improv can help with that. It can enhance that, because the skills that are used on stage in an improv scene, in a comedic improv scene, I saw in the chat, some of you have done improv or seen it or like the term yes and. All of those skills that you see used on a stage to sustain a comedic improv scene are the same skills that can be used in our workplace to create and sustain psychological safety. So you see here in these definitions from some research articles about applied improvisation, I bolded some of the terms here: personal development, team building, creativity, innovation, and/or meaning. So these principles, tools, practices, skills, and mindsets of improv help to create these outcomes. They also can help create, allowing for people to interact directly and create collaborative problem solving, connection, and understanding of the shared experience. And you're like, okay, I've seen Whose Line Is It Anyway? I've seen it. They're not talking about any of these things. It's just a funny show. Wayne Brady is hilarious. And I don't even notice anything of these things happening. Right. Because the improvisers are really good at what they do. And they're trained on these principles of improv. So when they step out on stage, they have these principles in mind that help them to be able to create a shared reality in space together that we're not used to creating, quite frankly, sometimes in the workplace. So I have here loose, in parentheses, loose principles of improv. Because in improv, there are rules to improv. However, sometimes these get broken. You might actually see someone say no on stage. And if they're not saying no, the character is saying no, but by them saying no, they're actually yes-anding the reality, which I know is confusing, but you can also say no. You're not always saying yes all the time. But a big principle of improv is yes and, which is another term for accept and build. Also, first thing, best thing. If you've ever seen an improv show, any type or form, they're not sitting on stage going, what's the best way to respond here? Oh, what's going to be the funniest thing? No, right? That wouldn't be funny. So they have to say the first thing that comes to their mind. First thing, best thing, go. And I found myself at work, trying to find, well, what's the best way to say this? And what's the best way that they're going to like it? And if I'm in a psychologically safe space, I can voice a half thought or half idea without feeling like somebody's going to think I'm stupid or whatever. Be here now. That's a mindfulness, another term for mindfulness, being present. If we are on our phones, on our emails, and we're not allowing time and space to talk and connect with people, are we truly being present in our meetings and our workplaces? And I will argue no. So the idea is you have to be fully present here in an improv scene and also in the workplace. And you have to maybe schedule in space for that or time for that. Giving and receiving gifts is so important in improv. So if I'm in a scene with someone and I say, wow, you're wearing a giant hat, that's a lovely giant hat you have. If they say, this isn't a hat, it's a space suit, I'm an astronaut. Well, now we have to do a lot of work because they've kind of no-butted the scene. And, we could still make it work, but it's harder. But if they say, yes, I am wearing my giant hat for your birthday party, great. So now they have taken the gift of they're wearing a giant hat, and they've given a gift back that it is my birthday party, which my birthday is in 2 days. So that's top of mind. So giving and receiving gifts, it's not always like a one take or, it's not always just like a one-way highway of like, I just give and give and give. You've got to be able to receive some too. And if someone tells you, great job on that report, that project, that communication, are you actually receiving it? Are you letting it land too? No mistakes, just opportunities. This is huge. I talked about this in the beginning too, my perfectionist tendencies. In improv, mistakes get made all the time. And actually, mistakes can be the funniest part of a show if you allow it. Now, in real life, mistakes have consequences. I get that. But mistakes still happen. How do we learn from them? How do we accept ourselves if mistakes happen? How do we accept others when mistakes happen? Do we gloss over it? Do we berate and make people feel really bad about it? Or do we use it as a discussion to grow and learn and make sure it doesn't happen again? So are you avoiding mistakes and learning, or are you talking about it? And finally, make your scene partner look good. I mean, I know this is common sense things here, but what if we lived in a world where everyone made each other look good and it wasn't so competitive? How nice of a world that would be, where we would give compliments, just to give a gift, right? And then we'd get one back and we'd actually let it land. And we're always looking out for someone else to have someone else's back. So these are very loose principles of improv, but I'm sure if you've seen any kind of improv show, comedic show, I hope you can see how some of these tools can show up on stage, but also how these can relate to your workplace. So 30 minutes goes by fast. I am going to skip some of our exercises. However, we are going to do a longer session in a few weeks that I hope you'll join for. So I want to do this one. I think this one works really well on a webinar format, but it's called Have You Ever? Hopefully you can see on your screen, there is a raise hand button. So every time you have done this activity, I will ask you to raise your hand. All right, so have you ever gone skydiving? And you can raise your hand in the chat there. I see a few hands raised. Excellent. Right, all right, so maybe only 2 have gone skydiving. Great, please lower your hand. All right, have you ever run a half marathon or marathon? I've done a half. I don't think I'll ever do a full. Ooh, so we have some runners in the group. That's awesome. I love that. Okay, feel free to lower your hand. Have you ever traveled outside the country? Once. I want to do it more. Look at all the hands. That's amazing. They all came at once. That was beautiful. Nice. We have some world travelers here. Awesome. Feel free to lower your hand. Have you ever taken a train somewhere? And you can decide what train means. It could be a subway, it could be whatever. Have you taken a train somewhere? Oh no, so you all can't see each other's hands. Okay. Well, I hope you can tell by my reaction how many hands are being raised. So we have about 30 hands being raised here for taking a train. Let me just take a bow for my error. I thought you all could see the hands raised. That's okay. So 30 have taken a train. I will say probably 50 of you had traveled outside the US. Have you ever felt anxiety or been overwhelmed? Yeah, we're up to 36 hands raised. Thank you. And I know that takes some honesty. Have you ever visited all 50 states? Anyone visited all 50 states? If so, I want to chat later and how you did it. Ah, yes. How many of you are here? 63 attendees are here. 5 of you have visited all 50 states. That's amazing. Wow, kudos. And 2 more. Have you ever gone fishing? Ooh, we have some fisher people in the group. 31 have gone fishing. Fantastic. 31 of 60 people, so that's about half. And last one, have you ever loved something or someone with all your heart? Oh, beautiful. 37 hands raised. Probably some, and I did forget to mention this piece. You do not have to participate in this activity. That's so hopefully some of you observed here. So 30, more than half. Feel free to lower your hands. Thank you all for participating in this. I know it was a little clunky being on a webinar, and I got to see all the beautiful hands raised, but you all didn't. But I hope you could tell by my reactions how beautiful it was. All right, I know we have 5 minutes left. I'm gonna quickly just go over, feel free to lower your hands too if you have them raised for this activity. And then if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat or the Q&A box. So I know we didn't get to do a lot of the exercises here today. However, let me just skip here. We are doing a practice makes progress in 2 weeks on May 24th. I don't think it's been promoted yet, but it will be, and that is a chance to do all these exercises. It will be on Zoom, regular Zoom format. I will encourage you to turn on your videos. However, psychological safety, you don't have to. It'll be a 90-minute workshop for us to practice these skills. So with these exercises here, they are very low stakes. All right, the raising of the hand, very low stakes exercises. One of the exercises I had on here was called Move Stop, and essentially you make a mistake in it. You're going to. It's kind of it's like a brain teaser, but it's a low stakes way to make mistakes and learn from it. And you might even laugh when you make a mistake too, which is always very freeing. We established connection over Zoom. I know it's a webinar and you have some anonymity being on a webinar and stuff, but I love having connection, even if we're on a webinar. So just seeing your hands raised was huge for me. And we had some connection there. We got to learn a few things about our attendees. A lot of people have run marathons. A lot of people have been fishing. A lot of people have ridden a train. A lot of us have felt anxiety and overwhelmed, and a lot of us have loved. And I did keep that one light for sure, but it is a way for us to still connect. Some of you may call these exercises silly. I call them simple and playful exercises, but it really does. I hope you'll join the 90-minute one. It gives profound takeaways, and it allows us to laugh, which creates a memorable experience. And we remember it and we take it away rather than just being told what to do. You get to experience what you felt, and then you can take that into a situation at work and apply it. Real quick, benefits of improvisation. It gives you a growth mindset, which is also another term for yes and. It can give you better active listening skills. Instead of listening to respond, you listen just to hear what the other person is saying, and then you react to it once they're finished. You better connect with others. It allows you to let go of perfection. I trust myself so much more than I ever have. And it really is because of improv, just trusting that the choices I make are the right choices, are the best choices I can make for the scene, and I am in a safe place to make these choices. And if we can have that same kind of trust in the workplace, oh my God, the innovation we could have would be amazing. Communication and collaboration skills, creativity and play. Look, I know we're super serious adults with bills to pay and emotions to have and all the things to do. However, what if we had some creativity and play in our day? Creativity and play helps to create innovation, and it gives you ideas. It gets the blood going. It gets the brain working again. If we're constantly serious, we can still make ideas and such, but that creativity just gives us an extra boost. And I mentioned accept and build. Yes, and there's so many benefits of yes, and, but I know we didn't get to practice it today, but if you have one takeaway from today's session, I want to encourage you to have a yes, and mindset. See and notice. Are you saying no because a lot, or yes, but will that work? And just try to flip it to yes, and. Yes, that can work. And then we could do this. And then we could do this. And then we could build a rocket ship and go to space. I'm just kidding. We don't need to go to space all the time. But just how can you say yes, and to more things in your life? Boundaries are important. You do not have to be Jim Carrey's yes man character. But how can you say yes and to yourself more? Yes and to exercise. Yes and to self-care. Yes and to your ideas. And I know I need to wrap it up here. I want to just encourage you all to, whether you're in a leadership position or not, think of these skills, think of yes and as a way to have psychological safety in your workplace. Set the stage, set the safety for your employees. Invite action and model the behavior. Actually show vulnerability sometimes. That can make a huge difference. And then monitor the response. Be aware of how it's being received and ask for feedback too. I mentioned the session on May 24th. We'll have more information coming out soon about this. It'll be a full practice session. It'll be a ton of fun. And then just to wrap up, oh yeah, the time zone. Thank you. That's 9 to 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah, so that will get promoted soon. And then, yeah, just to wrap up, 1 or 2 minutes over time here, but applied improv is certainly not the only way to establish psychological safety in your workplace. There are many other methods. However, I think psychological safety is a great way for people to practice the skills. Certainly you can hear a webinar saying you should just do this, 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 and this, but how do you get to practice these skills and actually experience them? And that is where improv comes into play. I want to encourage you all to have these discussions about psychological safety in your workplace. And also I want to encourage you to just think how you're feeling and how you can make the workplace safer for others, whether you're in a leadership position or not. And the last bullet I really, really love, on a deeper level, the improv exercises can help employees develop an improv mindset overall, which can benefit their teams, departments, companies, and families, friends, and beyond. It really can benefit everything. So I want to thank you all. This was a 30-minute, super quick, deep dive into improv. Super fun. Please check out our 90-minute session to practice these skills. And you can put questions into the website too. If you didn't get to ask any or we didn't get to chat, feel free to keep the discussion going on the conference website too. So thank you all. And I'll hang out for a few minutes if you all have any other questions or anything.